Looking for the greatest adventure of your life through the rewards of a finely crafted story? Then you may want to be a dungeon master. Hey everybody, Chris here. Today we're going to do the 3 steps to know for beginner dungeon masters. The admiration of your players after a well-played battle enhances the many benefits of being a dungeon master, although it can be one of the most difficult things you do without proper foundation. However, knowing how to be a good DM is a game changer. We're going to go over the 3 steps to start you out on being a good dungeon master.
1. Understanding your role as Dungeon Master. As the game's lead storyteller and referee, you will describe the player's world. In describing the environment, you must describe with enough detail to get their imaginations going. You will tell the players the location they are in and what is around them, including options of choices, like how many doors are in a room, or describing the strange exotic plant in the wilderness. These types of options give players motivation to react to what you've described.
Your job continues at this point is such that you have to let your players react. Listen to what they are saying, then decide on how to resolve those reactions. Let them have fun with the scene. If they want to check underneath the rock or leaf through all the books on the shelf, let them. Keep in mind, it's your world, but it's their story. Once you have reacted to the scene, the ball is back in your court.
You now have to take the scene to the next level and narrate what happens when the players interact with a given option. However, instances will occur when something happens with a variety of results and the outcome is unclear. What happens when the barbarian of the group decides he wants to eat the exotic plant, which he doesn't know is poisonous? A dice roll determines the results if the plant's toxicity can overcome the barbarian's resilient constitution.
This brings us to our next point. A simple rule to resolve tasks in Dungeons & Dragons. As a Dungeon Master, it is your job to not only understand the results, but to know what these results mean to both the player and the world around them. Dungeons & Dragons is a D20 game system, and most results are determined by rolling a D20 plus modifiers. The DM determines who rolls the die, then after the die is rolled, the first thing to do is to apply the correct modifiers to the number on the die rolled.
There are 2 main types of modifiers. One is circumstantial, which provides a bonus or a penalty to the die roll based off an outlying effect occurring. The other is a set modifier by the initiator of the die roll. A set modifier is usually based off the proficiency of an item, weapon, or other skills on both the monster stat block and the character sheet.
Circumstantial modifiers, or environmental modifiers, are the ones applied based on what is happening around the character at the moment of action. For example, the ranger fires her bow at a goblin who is hiding behind an upturned table. This would affect the character's chance of hitting the goblin, and that is represented in a modifier. Environmental modifiers can change on a round-by-round basis, and as Dungeon Master, you will apply these sometimes without informing your players.
However, describing the character's surroundings, the character may be aware that it will be harder or easier to perform an action, although they may not realize something is affecting their chance for success. For example, the fighter is about to jump up and grab the top of a wall. Unbeknownst to him, the top of the wall is covered with a thick layer of animal waste, making grabbing it nearly impossible.
Therefore, assigning a target number for success is required to determine the outcome. What happens to the barbarian eating the exotic plant, the ranger firing her bow at the defended goblin, or the fighter attempting the near impossible climb check? All of these have a set difficulty class or armor class.
The barbarian rolls a constitution saving throw versus the plant's poison difficulty class. The ranger rolls an attack roll against the goblin's armor class, and the fighter rolls a skill check against a difficulty check to climb to the top of the wall. Assigning difficulty checks and armor classes beyond this article and will be discussed in another article. This simple rule covers most of the ways to resolve tasks in Dungeons & Dragons.
Which brings us to our final point, the 3 pillars of adventure. Although you can play and adventure using 2 pillars, using all 3 enriches the entire game. The pillars are exploration, social interaction, and combat. In order to have a fully developed story, it is important to have all three. Imagine a three-legged stool. When all of the legs are present, there is a solid foundation. Remove a leg, and the system is unstable but can be somewhat functional. Remove two legs, and it begins to collapse. D&D can use just one of the pillars, but is a single-focus game and not very rewarding for many players.
We will start with combat, partially because it is the one that is the easiest to understand. Combat is using the core rules of the game to overcome an opponent. It's that simple. You attack and defend until your enemy is defeated. Bringing the action to the table and describing the combat elevates the game to a new level. As a Dungeon Master, you may want to continuously narrate the events, add humor to failures, and add epic descriptions on critical successes. Don't let combat turn into one roll after another saying, "You hit, you miss," as many players will quickly grow bored and start looking at their phones.
With social interaction, you are using skills and abilities outside of combat. Anything from ordering a drink from a bar wench or receiving adventure details from a town guard. Also, you can use social interactions as a way to end a combat. For example, your group is easily dispatching the enemy. You could use your social skills to cause the leader of the enemy to surrender and end the combat.
Moreover, social interaction can unlock more mystery and intrigue for your adventure. The last pillar, exploration, possibly the most overlooked pillar because it uses new senses, abilities, and skills for many players. Exploration can happen any time your character is somewhere she is not familiar with. It could be something as simple as the first time in town, or a trip through the woods to the cave where the treasure is hidden. Use exploration as an opportunity to unlock the history of the area or to leave clues for your players.
As Dungeon Master, there is a lot of give and take between you and your players. Remember, even though it's your world, it is their story, so tell it together. It is your role as Dungeon Master to set the scene, listen to and describe the outcome of the player's actions. If there is an unknown chance of success in the action, then it will require a die roll to determine if the action is successful, determined by the level of difficulty.
Moreover, intriguing the players by offering the 3 pillars of adventure covering combat, exploration, and social interaction will enhance the overall experience at the game table. Hopefully, we provided you with a good foundation of understanding your role as Dungeon Master, and that you are able to apply these base guidelines at your table. If there's something you are more interested in hearing, comment down below.
If you like this video, please subscribe, hit that like button, as well as that notification bell to be alerted to upcoming videos. Thank you guys.
Thanks guys, see you next time.